Today in Capechi's Corner, we're going to look at probability. Now, the probability of an event occurring is when we have favorable outcomes, getting what you want, versus the total number of options or outcomes. So, for example, what's the probability of flipping a tail on a coin? The 2 on the bottom, that is, there's 2 options, right? Heads or tails, and the 1 on the top, that's getting what you want, that's a tail. The next example is probability of rolling a 5 or a 6 on a die. So there's 6 sides on a die, so the denominator is 6, and you get a 5 or a 6. So that's 2 options that would be what you want. You always simplify the fraction in the end, which is 1/3. Okay, now we're going to look at some variety of problems. So if you spin a spinner that has 12 equal size section numbers 1 to 12, find the probability of each. Okay, so I know I have 12 options. So that's going to be my denominator. To get a 3 or 4, that's 2 options. So that simplifies to 1/6. Multiples of 3, that would be 3 or 6 or 9 or 12. So that's 4 options that are going to be what we want over the 12 total options. We're going to simplify that and we get 1/3. Okay, moving on. The probability of less than 4 on the spinner would be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So that's 4 options over 12, which also simplifies to 1/3. What about less than or equal to 5? What's the probability of that? So this time I'm going to include 5 as one of my answers, one of my favorable outcomes. So that's going to give me 5 over 12, which I can't simplify, so that's it. All right, moving on. It says you choose a marble at random from a bag containing 3 blue, 5 red, and 2 green. Okay, so there's 10 total. Let's write that up here, 10 total. Once you pick the marble, you replace it and choose again. So what that means is you're going to pick it up and you're going to put it back. Find each probability. Now, if I'm picking 2 marbles, which it says, then I'm going to have 2 fractions. So what's the probability of both of them being blue? Well, the first one would be 3 blue marbles out of 10. I put that back in and I basically start over. So that would be 3 blue marbles out of 10. So I multiply that, and my probability of getting that is 9 over 100. What about the probability of getting blue and green, then green? So my blue, again, would be 3 over 10. I put the marble back in the bag. Now I have green is 2 over 10. And I simplify that to 6 over 100, which simplifies to 3 over 50, right? We always simplify the fraction. The last one was the probability of green and then red. So green is going to be 2 over 10. And then put it back. Red's going to be 5 over 10. I multiply that. I get 10 over 100. So I simplify that and I get 1/10. All right, moving on. We're still dealing with the marbles. It says you choose a marble at random from a bag containing 3 blue, 5 red, and 2 green. So the same as above. Once you pick the marble, you do not replace it before you choose the second marble. Okay, so basically what happens, you're going to hold it in your hand. You're going to pick the first one, you're going to hold it in your hand, and it says find each probability in decimal form. So we're going to do that last. So again, both blue. First, I pick 3 out of 10, right? The probability of picking a blue is 3 out of 10. Now, when I pick it, I hold it. I assume that I have what I wanted. So now there's only 9 marbles in the bag, right? I have one in my hand, and I'm assuming I picked what I want. So I'm assuming that I got blue. So that will leave only 2 marbles left, 2 blue marbles left in the bag. So when I multiply that across, I get 6 over 90. The directions said to put it in decimal form, so I just use my calculator. I go 6 divided by 90, and I get 0.07. All right, moving on. What about blue? So blue, again, there's 3 in the bag of 10. And then red. Well, now there's only 9 marbles because I have one in my hand. I did not pick red the first time, so then I'm going to get 5 here. So I'm going to multiply across. I get 15 over 90. And again, when I put that in decimal form, I take 15 divided by 90, and that gives me about 0.17. Okay, last one with the marbles. Again, green. There are 2 green out of 10. and then I'm going to pick a red. Well, I'm holding one in my hand is 9, and there's still 5 red marbles in the bag. So when I multiply that across, I get 10 over 90. I don't even have to simplify that fraction if I'm going in decimal form. So I just divide, and again, it's approximately 0.11. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says, suppose you have a bouquet of 4 red, 3 white, and 2 yellow roses in your hand. What's the probability in percentage form this time of selecting 2 red roses? So it doesn't tell you whether you're putting it back or not. In this case, you do not replace unless it states that you're replacing. So I'm assuming I'm picking a rose, I'm keeping it, and then I'm going to pick a second one. Okay. So what's the probability of getting 2 red roses? Well, when I add them up, I realize that I have 4, 3, and 2. So that gives me 9. So there's 9 total. So the first one I get, the red roses, there's 4 options. I'm holding that rose in my hand, so there's only 8 roses left. Again, I'm assuming I got what I wanted, so now there's only 3 red roses left. And when I multiply that across, my calculator will just simplify it for me, so I get 1 over 6. In decimal form, that's the same as 0.17, which in percentage form, remember you move it 2 decimal places. That gives me 17%. So the answer there is letter D. All right, moving on. It says you take a 3-question true or false quiz. So 3 questions. You guess on all the questions. What is the probability that you will get a perfect score? Well, I have 3 questions, so I'm going to have 3 fractions, and I'm going to multiply. And it's true or false, each question. So the probability of me getting the first question right, 1/2, right? Whatever it is, true or false, I have a 50-50 chance. 2 options, only one is right. Same thing with the next question. Same thing with the third question. So in the end, that's 1 over 8, which simplifies to 0.125, which simplifies about to 13%. All right, let's take a look at the last one. It says, for a storage grand opening, the first 800 customers to enter the store receive a coupon for 10%, 20%, or 30% off. So we know there's 800 customers. The coupons are distributed randomly. The table below shows the number of each type of coupon that will be distributed. So this is what we have. We have 10% coupons. There's 525 of them. 20%, not as much at 225, and 30% again, not as much at 50. Which expression chose to find, how to find the probability that the first 3 customers, so I know we're going to have 3 fractions, receive a 30% off. Well, we know the first one's going to be 50 over 800, right? Because we're starting fresh. And I'm going to multiply that. Now, again, the customer is not putting the coupon back. They're holding on to it. So the next one's going to be $7.99. And again, I'm assuming you got what you wanted. So we're holding that in our hand. And then we're going to keep going. Now there's another one less in the bag or in whatever the box that they have with the coupons. And now it's going to be 48. So my answer there is letter D. Okay, thanks so much for stopping by today. You have a great day.